Hi guys, this is an 0290 installation, 0290 D2 installation on a Cavalier, and I'm just giving it a brief inspection right now. Tell me if you see anything that would be concerning. I'm hoping to get this flying. It's naturally aspirated. You can see the cabin heat muffs and the carb heat. It's not much of a carb heat muff. Got a Odyssey battery, master and battery starter solenoids. The diodes have been installed, ammeter shunt. Looks like it's only got a oil screen, not an oil filter. I think I have an adapter to put a filter on it. Oil cooler comes in and out through these ports. Oil temperature, I would imagine. There's the oil pressure. This is an odd one. I haven't seen before. A breather, crankcase breather, goes over to a breather can that collects both from the crankcase top and from the bottom. Brake fluid. And gascolator with no independent air source and right next to the exhaust. That's not okay. It looks like he's thought of that with this heat shield. It's still a little, more than a little iffy. He's then tried to insulate it here. It's really unusual and I think quite good installation of control cables. I think he did a very, very good job. And the air box connected to the a bracket air filter, but again, passing very close to heat with some heat shield. I think that's better than the gascolator. Lightweight starter. One mag, and on the other side, a light speed ignition. Here's the coils for the light speed. Automotive plugs on top and aircraft plugs on the bottom. I'd prefer it the other way around to burn off lead, but probably not worth changing at the moment. The vernier, well, everything looks very well installed. The firewall through ports are all well sealed. It's a crossover exhaust, but no slip joints. So that would be prone to cracking. Again, other side, welded shut slip joints. So yeah, that's not the best. Quite prone to cracking. Here he didn't weld that slip joint shut, so it'll at least slip, but that probably should not have been welded. fuel pump with appropriate overflow drain. If anyone else is looking at this kind of installation, I really like to put a clear catch on the end of the fuel drain from the fuel pump. So if it starts to go, you'll notice that hopefully, that the diaphragm's starting to go. And it's time to replace the diaphragm in the fuel pump. Without the overflow, I've had a friend who had an in-flight fire and died because of that. Primer. And this is again an 0290D2, I believe. Good ramps, well sealed. I'm pretty impressed with the baffling and the sealing. It'd sure be nice to be able to control the amount of air to the oil filter, but that's just being picky. In here in California, where it gets quite hot, and so cooling is utmost in our considerations. So unfortunately, this installation of the battery is the box has to be removed to change the battery. That's probably not the best situation, and if I replace this with a lithium, I'll probably move the lithium inside, but then I'd have to run these cables through the firewall, which is always problematic, but better than heat killing or cold killing a battery. So please let me know if you've noticed anything that looks questionable or off, or how you would do it different, and let me know. I mentioned the what to me looks like a little bit insufficient heat muff. The builder actually did have a commercial heat muff that could be installed perhaps, although it's quite tight, and it could be that this is why he didn't install it. It's just too tight, and it's considerably heavier. Oil quick drain, that's very nice. This is the carb drain. A similar baffle director on this, the larger set of fins, as there are in the smaller set of fins. I'll look on the other side. Again, no baffle, redirection of airflow on the larger fins of the cylinders, but there is on the smaller fins. That would be something I'd look into fabricating. Tell me what you think in terms of how essential those are. History of the engine. The engine was in a plane that had an off-field landing, then was overhauled apparently, and has been installed in this about 15 years ago. So I'm gonna have to go through. I'll at some point show you borescopes of the internals. I'll start with the cylinders, and then I will perhaps pull a mag or the fuel screen, and we should be able to get in. I think through the mag you can get into the tappets for the cam. It's quite the installation. The standoffs that have been fabricated, somewhat unique, and I think really well done. The wires have been labeled and are detailed in the builder's log and the airplane manual. These are the Lightspeed ignition coils. Want your input. These are the control signals for firing the coil, and then the coil is this. Okay. Another possibly questionable installation relates to the oil cooler. You'll note that the oil cooler is attached to the engine mount at this edge and through this bracket to this edge. However, there is no carry through to the other side, leaving the entire oil cooler to cantilever, which has been found to be problematic in other installations. The Lightspeed ignition installation looks good to me. However, I'm relatively unfamiliar with them. The sealing for firewall piercings is adequate, but could perhaps use resealing. The crankcase breather comes to this can, has a catch can for returning blow by oil back to the case. And I'll show you the case return port over here, just underneath the right mag. Installation looks very good to me. However, normally with oil lines, I don't think a barb slip attachment is appropriate. This is a hose clamp, and that hose clamp, even that is probably not an issue since it's never under positive pressure. So among the action items that call out to me, mostly would be the proximity of the gascolator to exhaust. It could be moved over to a center section. Looks like the lines would work for that. I'd have to refabricate a new one new hard line. The other action item would be a carry-through support for the oil cooler, and then would like but not must have would be to move the Lightspeed ignition to the bottom plugs and have mags on the top plugs. Power from an Isuzu automotive alternator. Looks like a fairly substantial alternator. One datum. It's been run up once now, maybe a couple times. Both times, or every time that I know of, it got quite hot, up to 400. The only clues I have as to condition of the engine, other than it reportedly being overhauled, and it looks like a clean installation, was a run-up, and it seemed to get quite hot. At 470 is truly unacceptable.